The fun distraction. Procrastination usually starts when something fun and easy grabs our attention. You might decide to check your phone for a quick scroll, but before you know it, you're deep in a rabbit hole of videos or on social media. The brain finds instant enjoyment in these quick distractions, making it easy to forget your main task. That instant pleasure holds more appeal than the hard work waiting for you. The dark playground. The dark playground is where fun activities happen, but they're done at the wrong time. Watching videos, gaming, or scrolling social media here feels a little guilty since the tasks you should be doing are hanging over your head. It's fun in the moment, but the guilt and stress eventually catch up, making the dark playground a short-lived escape. Instant gratification. Our brains crave short-term rewards over long-term gains. It's much easier to enjoy a movie now than to work on a project that will only benefit us later. This instant gratification bias pulls focus away from productive tasks, keeping us in a loop of immediate satisfaction while future goals get sidelined. Avoiding hard tasks. Tasks that are complex or challenging often trigger procrastination. The brain prefers tasks that feel manageable, so larger or more complicated tasks get put off. Instead of diving into a difficult project, it's tempting to tackle smaller, easier ones, which feels like progress, even though the main task remains untouched. Fear of starting. A big task can feel overwhelming at first, which makes the brain nervous about even starting. It's like looking up at a mountain and wondering if you'll ever reach the top. Instead of diving in, the brain finds ways to delay to avoid any initial discomfort. Starting is often the hardest part, but it's also the key to making progress. Perfectionism trap. When you want everything to be perfect, starting can feel risky. The brain avoids beginning because it fears making mistakes. This need for perfection creates endless delays, as you wait for the right moment to get it exactly right, in the end, aiming for perfect results and doing nothing as the pressure becomes too much. Self-doubt. Delay. Self-doubt creeps in when you aren't sure you can accomplish something. Thoughts like, am I capable? Or, what if I fail? Lead the brain to stall. Avoiding the task feels safer than risking failure, creating a loop of delay. By delaying, the brain shields itself from any potential disappointment. No clear plan. Without a clear roadmap, a big task can feel overwhelming. When the brain can't visualize the steps needed, it often delays getting started. Clear goals help the brain feel more in control, but without them, procrastination sets in, keeping you at the starting line as you wonder how to even begin. Decision paralysis. Too many options or decisions involved, the brain can get overwhelmed and shut down. Instead of choosing a path and starting, it's easier to avoid making any choice at all. This decision paralysis keeps you stuck, delaying tasks simply because you're unsure of the best way forward. The tomorrow illusion. The brain often tricks itself into believing that tasks will somehow be easier or that you'll have more time tomorrow. This false belief that future you will be more motivated leads to delay after delay. It's comforting in the moment, but tomorrow turns into next week, and the task still isn't done. Low energy levels. When you're feeling drained, the brain instinctively seeks rest or entertainment over work. Fatigue makes any task feel bigger and harder, encouraging procrastination. Instead of pushing forward, it's tempting to put off work until you feel better, but that moment doesn't always come. Underestimating time needed. The brain has a tendency to assume tasks will take less time than they actually do. This planning fallacy leads to procrastination, as you believe you can do it later and still finish on time. But by the time you start, it's often too late, leaving you scrambling under a tight deadline. Lack of accountability. When you're only accountable to yourself, tasks can easily lose urgency. The brain relaxes, feeling there's no real pressure to complete the work. Without someone else to check in or a concrete deadline, it's easy to let tasks drift, making procrastination a comfortable choice. Deadline rush. Many procrastinators depend on deadlines to kickstart their work. Without an urgent deadline, the brain doesn't feel a need to focus. But as the deadline approaches, that last-minute rush creates a sense of urgency that pushes you into high gear. For many, this deadline rush becomes the only way to complete tasks, relying on pressure as motivation. The panic button. When the deadline gets too close, the panic button hits, waking up that sense of urgency. Suddenly, the brain shifts into high productivity, as there's no choice but to act. This panic button kicks in only at the last minute, pushing you to get things done under pressure. It's stressful, but for many procrastinators, it's the only way work finally happens. No more procrastinating. Take your first action now. Drop a comment if any of this sounds like you, and hit subscribe for more quick tips to keep you moving forward.